Hey, what is up, everyone? Happy Monday/Tuesday, depending on where you are, I guess.
Mhm.
It really doesn't matter. There's no after party song because this isn't the after party. So
Did you
that's
bring some
why,
snacks and
yeah.
treats?
So we got a 99-cent super chat from Cal, always supporting the channel. Thank you so much, Cal, and also for being a Team Eric member. Hello, Era Versines, Jamie, Liam, Lillian, the Marine, Victor, Brian, Laura, Heroes Journeys here, Justin. A few people here. Thank you so much for joining us. And we are back. It was a couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks where we were off because of there's a lot of reasons. I've had issues. Omega had issues, and you saw that with the week we tried to stream without him, and that was just like
I don't know
nightmare,
what happened with that. It's like I tried logging in, and before I did it with just on my phone, before it worked normal, but for some reason it just would not work. I don't know if I wasn't signed in, or I think they give you more bandwidth if you sign in or something. I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, thanks to a mutual friend of ours, I knew have a new system, and I have to help him bury a body.
Well, there we go. That explains it. There we go. The whole story, or at least what he's willing to tell us about the story. Joined as always by Cyber and Omega here, and we're going to talk about 2 shows. There are going to be spoilers. What we'll probably do is give our general thoughts, like at the beginning, and then we'll get into spoilers. And we're going to talk about Boba Fett, and we're going to talk about Peacemaker. Now, Omega has not seen all of Peacemaker, but he's seen a lot of it, most of it actually. So there's not too many spoilers. We're going to talk about character developments and stuff like that. That's about it. But
I honestly didn't even bother to watch it for a while, but I was like, you know what? Earlier today, I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot to see how it is, and got instantly hooked. And then by like the 5th episode, I was like, oh shoot, I ain't gonna have enough time.
Yeah, there's actually a show. I know this stream isn't about this, but there's actually a show on Netflix called Super Crooks. I think it's like an animated.
I've heard of that.
It's from the same universe as the canceled show that they had. The Utopian in it and everything. And what is it? Mark Miller's.
God, I'm gonna remember the name later.
Jupiter's Legacy.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yes. So it's from that same universe, but it's actually so far better than that. So
okay,
there we go.
Yeah, it was an interesting universe. It's just the show was so dang slow.
They. Well, I know we're not reviewing that show, but I wanted it to be good because I love whenever a superhero show surprises me. But it was like it didn't commit enough to be The Boys.
Yeah.
And it wasn't dramatic enough to be like Daredevil. So it was like this weird, like they almost got it, but they didn't. That show had a lot of flashbacks. And I think the flashbacks were more interesting than the actual.
What they should have done, like the first 4 episodes or whatever, should have just been the flashbacks and then go to the future.
They tried to do like a Lost. They tried to do a Lost.
They tried to go back and forth way too many times.
Flashbacks, flash forwards, flash sideways. They tried to do all of that, and it just didn't work. So,
it was.
But the animated series is pretty good. So I would say give it a try here. Paige said, "Is Omega wearing makeup?"
No, it's just my weird lighting.
It's makeup. No, it's makeup.
Yeah. So
there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's. Do
you have some? Do you have some there? Is that what you're looking for?
Well, no, when I was at Dragon Con 2 years ago, and I had to use foundation for these.
Oh, for your ears? Yeah. By the way, I think we should probably plan Dragon Con this year for sure, because I think everything's going to be back to normal, maybe.
Well, it's back to normal. I still ain't working. I need a job, and it's going to be hard to get a job.
Oh, don't worry. By the way, you have plenty of money saved up by time.
Yeah.
All right, so again, we're gonna do Boba Fett first, and this is gonna be a general spoiler-free thoughts. I'll give mine, and then we'll see what they think. So just the way it goes, we talked about Boba Fett pretty much week to week until about the midway point. I wanted the show to be good because I love the old school Star Wars feel. Rogue One was one of my favorite Star Wars movies of all time.
It's a really good movie,
and I just love the idea of going back and looking at these characters. Boba Fett and his story, and I know you're going to disagree with me here on this, Cyber. His present day story, to me, wasn't as interesting as his backstory, but his backstory wasn't very good either. So it was like,
I mean, you want me to disagree with you with that?
No. Just I think you're going to say that you didn't like the flashbacks at all, or you didn't like.
Oh no, I didn't like the flashbacks at all. You're right. Yeah,
but I'm saying like the idea of what he was doing. I wanted a bounty hunter series, and that's not what we got. So we had this idea of him being like, basically the Sopranos or being this like gangster type, mobster type story. And I just really wasn't into it. And the show for me, with the exception of episode 2, which I think was the best like Boba focus episode, was episode 2. With the exception of that episode, it did not get good until later on when we got basically 2 episodes of The Mandalorian in the middle or towards the end of Boba Fett. So for me, I think the show had potential. It just never reached the heights that I wanted it to. So we'll talk more about the details. That's just my general thoughts. Either one of you want to give just some general thoughts before we dive into the details of the show?
Yeah, because I was even talking to my brother about this, and I was kind of saying, like, yeah, the first 4 episodes of Boba Fett, not counting the ones with Din Djarin, this was kind of like for Star Wars lore nerds, especially when it comes to the Tusken Raiders and basically how they went into their whole culture thing. If you weren't really that into Star Wars, if you're not that big of a Star Wars lore nerd, this is probably, you're not going to be that interested.
What about you, Cyber?
There was very little. I don't know what this show was made for. Because he's talking about, lore heads, right? But most lore heads wouldn't be a fan of this Boba Fett.
True.
I don't know what this show was made for. And I know people are going to hate on me for this. And here's the thing, I've learned you're not a Star Wars fan unless you hate it. So maybe I'm a Star Wars fan. Right? So as we get into it, I'll go more in depth. I don't want to give it too much time because here's the thing. More stuff happened in the Mando episode, just one of the Mando episodes, than the entire series of Boba's story. And that's all I ever said, is that it just never went anywhere. And that's...
and here's the thing. I actually liked pretty much the whole of the Boba Fett series. Is just...
Yeah, so, okay, let's get into some details of the series now. So obviously, we get to see like sort of what happened to Boba Fett after the original trilogy. Like he was in the Sarlacc pit, how he got out, and then how things went from there with the Tusken Raiders, and a little bit about their culture and their world, which I found to be quite interesting. I liked learning about the Tusken Raiders only because I thought there are characters that have been around for so long, and we
know next to nothing about it unless you play Knights of the Old Republic back in 2003 and actually went out of your way to do that side story to get all of their lore. So there's really not much about them.
So I absolutely love that part of it. And that's why I think I like the flashbacks a little bit more than the primary show.
Yeah.
The primary storyline, the only thing I even cared about was Fennec. Fennec was the coolest character in that. And then once we got introduced to BK, Black Kirsten, like I think he was also Chrysanthemum. He was an interesting character, but we didn't get enough of him.
Yeah, we didn't really see much. I mean, he fought, kicked some ass, and shot some people. That was about it. I mean, granted, that's cool, but
and the idea of this power vacuum with the Hutts seemed really good, and that didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, it had an interesting premise that really didn't pan out. It's like they didn't know what to do with it.
And then, like, the mystery of him being in the tank trying to heal, that wasn't really much of a... I mean, what he was doing in there, what was the point of that?
Yeah, it was just the acid from the Sarlacc pit he was healing from. That was it. And they made it like this big mysterious thing. It's like, oh my God, what happens to him? Is he dying? Does he have cancer or something? No, he's just healing from the acid. That's it.
So the other thing is this was supposed to feel like a Western, but then at times it didn't.
Yeah.
It leaned into the Western vibe when it was necessary for the story, but otherwise it just didn't matter. What did you think, Cyber, about some of this backstory? Because I know you weren't happy with the flashbacks. Did you care about the Tusken Raiders? Did you care about anything that happened with Boba Fett, or were you just kind of going through the show like on cruise control?
So here is my general thoughts on Boba's. It's not even his backstory. It's just what he was doing from the time that he got out of the pit, right? So it's not like his childhood growing up. Like I would have been more interested in seeing him with Cad Bane, right? Because they touched on that later in the season. But unless you're a big Star Wars lore nerd, as Omega puts it, you don't know that, right? Yet you spend like multiple episodes of a 7-episode season explaining a backstory that almost meant nothing. because like the plot twist for like, oh, the trick was, someone else took them out, and that was supposed to be like this big reveal. It really wasn't. And so I just felt like the flashback stuff with the Tuskens could have been summed up in literally like 15 minutes.
One of the things I
moved forward.
And you want to talk about this? One of the things I did really like about that present day storyline was finding out more about Finnick and how she was enhanced with technology and how they met and how that whole story played out. I thought that was really good. And I want to say, no disrespect to Ming. I love Ming. I think Ming is amazing. Loved her as May. I feel like she was playing the same character here as she does on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with just the Star Wars world. Like, it's basically like if you took Melinda May and put her in Star Wars, this is
but I was fine with that. I'm fine.
No, I'm absolutely okay with it. But what does that say about the rest of the show if that's the best thing about your present day storyline is a character that's just playing? She's an actress playing the same character she's basically played before. Again, no disrespect to her. I love her. I love the character of Finnick. But it just goes to show that there was so much uninteresting stuff that was happening on the series. It just took forever to get to all the good stuff. And what did you guys think of some of the special effects? Did you think they were good, bad? Because I know there were some complaints about special effects throughout the series.
Some were good,
right?
Some were bad.
Right.
I was like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?"
So, what would be your example of something that you liked?
The speeder bikes were awful with the mod gang. Absolutely atrocious. It looked like somebody could walk faster. It was just bad. That was so bad.
Here's my thing about the speeder bikes. If this was set on Coruscant, I wouldn't have batted an eye.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, they're fine. But
actually, any other world where it's not dirty all the time.
Yeah, it feels on Naboo, Tatooine, Coruscant. Not Tatooine, Naboo, Coruscant, Corellia.
That's my complaint.
Anywhere else, it would have been fine. Or even that freaking Halo world that they have. If they were
people talk about this all the time. They were fighting over water, but somehow their bikes stayed clean, like they're getting washed every 5 hours.
I mean, yeah, granted, it's future tech or whatever. It could probably have some weird spray that could.
But everything is future tech.
Yeah, it's like, why don't they?
All of it.
Exactly. If they had that, why don't they use that everywhere else? But yeah, it made no sense. They were just out of place.
Not only that,
hate them, they were just so out of place.
So let's talk about some of the stuff I did like. I absolutely love the special effects. In the Mando episode.
Absolutely in the Mando season.
The Halo world, that place was cool.
They saved all the money for the last 3 episodes of the series.
For literally putting on the Darksaber. Yeah.
And then when that catwalk where there was just space underneath it, like that shot was cool.
All right, so let's jump into that. Basically, I think Boba Fett is an extended trailer for the season 3 of Mandalorian.
Season 3 of Mando.
Because
I
didn't care about this show really until we got to episode 5, when we got to the Mandalorian episode. I think 5 and 6 were the 2 Mando episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was.
I immediately enjoyed that 5th episode more than I enjoyed the entirety of Boba Fett's story. And it's something about the exploration, the travel, seeing different worlds, seeing different characters. I have come to the conclusion that I think Tatooine has been done too much. We need to take a break from that planet completely. I honestly do.
Mm-hmm.
I got so much more enjoyment out of seeing Din fly around and do stuff than I ever got from any of the other things on Tatooine. So, what are you looking up, Omega?
There was this one shot where it's kind of overhead, and it was during the whole Rancor Fried on the last episode, and you could literally see the set, but you could literally see where they didn't even complete the wall. You could see,
it was just wood set and stuff. Yeah. I would say special effects wise, they definitely focused on the Mando episodes because that was shot in space, whereas Tatooine was all physical space sets. And here's one thing that I have said on here that I don't want to sound like I'm being a hypocrite, right? I like practical effects better, right? When they're done right.
Yeah.
A lot of the practical effects in this were okay, but also a lot of them weren't. So if I'm speaking on just the special effects, the Mando episodes were just infinitely better.
I just what this showed me, no offense to people that love Boba Fett, is Mando is a more interesting character than Boba Fett is by a lot.
Yeah.
By a lot.
And I thought
Boba Fett was a filler character in the original trilogy because that's what he is. Jango is way more interesting than him. Some of the clones are more interesting than him. He's just not as interesting as the other characters.
This show could have fleshed him out a bit more, but it just didn't.
It didn't at all.
Here's the thing. Star Wars now is not written for us, right?
Right.
It's written for a younger audience, which is why I said I don't understand what this show is.
That's the whole point. Is that if you're writing for a younger, skewing younger, why did you do that? I think that's
Boba Fett.
Listen, hear me out though.
That's why all that deep lore doesn't make sense.
No, I think that's why the biker gang was put in the show, because they were trying to hit that demographic of a younger audience. So they put the bikers in there, but it's like the people that made it didn't realize that the younger viewers that doesn't matter to them. You could write a story about a 50-year-old man that skews for a younger audience if you write it well. Like, you don't have to throw those things.
That's what I mean. Like, I think that Boba, bringing him back was to keep people interested, showing all the lore for the people that are big Star Wars fans was to keep people interested. There was a lot of potatoes, not a lot of meat. Right?
Yeah.
This should have been better. It should have been better. And I know people last time were like, oh, you just want to see fireworks and gunfire. It's like, no,
yes!
Keep in mind, I don't dislike that, right? But if I just want a story to go somewhere. This went nowhere for 4 episodes. And then in the end, everything that happened at the end ended up being like almost like pointless.
Right. But okay, so let's go ahead. We've discussed the first 4 episodes. Let's forget about those for a moment. So we got the Mando episodes, and we get to see him not only use the Darksaber and go and talk to the other Mandalorians and basically get banished from them, which, by the way, I don't think they're his friends. Like I know that they've been kind to him and they've made his armor and they've acted like, they're together. I think everything that happened in that episode was intended to be done by them as soon as he came in. I think that they intended to banish him from the get-go, like right away. So, but anyway, love that story. Love seeing all of that. Then we get to the stuff where he has to go to take, the armor to Grogu, where he's training at this new temple where Luke is and where Ahsoka is. And I loved all that too.
Yeah.
I loved all of that.
Yeah, because as soon as I saw that astromech droid, I was like, "Hey, no way, that's not R2." I just was like super happy.
For me, episodes 5 and 6, which were the Mando episodes, were more in the spirit of Star Wars than the first 4 episodes were.
Yeah,
5 and 6 were much more in the spirit of Star Wars.
Like let's just break down what happened in like the first 20 minutes of the Mando episode, right? He was in the process, like he had gone back to where he was because he had, he no longer had Grogu, right? So he was going back to where he knew. They took his spear which was of significance and broke it down for armor for Grogu, which everyone was like, "Oh, this is awesome! Can't wait to see what type of armor. Is it a helmet? Is it chain? What is it?" Right? Then he loses his Mando status, right? They're like, did you ever take on blah blah blah? And you get to see that he's struggling with the Darksaber on trying to wield it and having to learn how to wield it. That's in the first 20 minutes. And then you look back at the first 4 episodes of Boba Fett, and what? He talked to people. He acquired some help.
So here's another thing.
In 4 episodes.
Here's another thing. Boba Fett is intimidating in his armor. Without his hat on, he's just some other guy. Like, that's the thing, is that what made him so intimidating in the movies and even in the lore of his character is wearing the helmet and being this, mysterious character. Once you take the helmet off, he's just another dude. Like, that's why Mando keeps his on like 95% of the time.
Well, that because Din Djarin was part of those weird cultist type people who are super strict about their code.
Absolutely, but they did that knowing that was the coolest part of the
character. Was and there's a reason why the helmet is shaped like that.
Right. So by doing that, it removed that kind of threat. Also, we got tons of setup for Mando season 3. There's so many things that are set up for season 3.
That's what I'm saying, but there was no setup for Boba.
No, But like the whole thing with the Jedi Temple, with Grogu having to make a choice, with Mando going back to Tatooine, getting the new ship, which by the way, I was like, this is not going to be good, and then it ended up being an amazing freaking ship.
Yeah.
You know, you got Grogu in the co-pilot seat, which I thought was freaking amazing. Just
that part at the
everything
end.
about those characters. There was chemistry. It was exciting. It got me ready for season 3 of Mandalorian. And honestly, straight up, if we would have skipped those episodes and just did like one final episode of Boba Fett, this would have been a complete F for me.
Think about in the end, right? Like the only thing that made, like, I'm not going to say that because people are going to like other stuff, and that's fine. To me, the only things that were interesting, right, was all the side characters fighting, minus the mod gang. Mando being there, Grogu, like, I mean, naturally when she was bringing Grogu over and like, it's like she couldn't hear the war going on. That was kind of like whatever. But again, that's when it's like, Robert Rodriguez did the last episode. I don't know if he did other ones, but I know he did that episode. And it's not that I dislike Robert Rodriguez, but he needs to stay away from Star Wars. Stay away from Star Wars.
What about Spy Kids? Can he still do Spy Kids?
I don't care what he does. Just stay away from Star Wars. Because here's the thing. It just didn't work. It just didn't work, right?
That's
one of my favorite films of all time. Here.
This is a good comment because Luke did have great CGI.
It was way better than the previous incarnation. But so Desperado is one of my favorite movies of all time, right? It's absolutely action-packed. It's unbelievable. It's over-the-top action, and that's fine, and it works. However, I didn't like El Mariachi or Once Upon a Time in Mexico. The fact that we got live-action Cab and then Cab was... okay, I was reading that. Anyway.
Here we go.
Anyway, the fact we got live.
Anyway, so it's like I like a couple of his stuff, but stay away from Star Wars.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and talk about that finale then. The finale. Gosh, I'm just repeating myself here. The Mando and Grogu stuff was amazing.
Yes,
all of that was amazing. Boba Fett riding on the back of a Rancor after all of that setup that we weren't sure what Danny Trejo's character was doing, if there was some mystery or whatever, gone. That mystery gone. Like the thing at the end where he's looking at the Rancor, he's like, "Oh, don't worry, he'll be back." And I'm like, "Oh, they're setting something up." It's just
bad, right? Like everyone other than like Boba was just written poorly. I didn't care when he was on screen. Nothing of significance came from it. Every time somebody else was on screen, I couldn't wait to see what happened next. He was on screen, and I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Robert Rodriguez did the biker episode as well. The biker episode.
Yeah. I mean, stay away from Star Wars.
Cad Bane was a cool character that was very underutilized and punked, absolutely punked.
I mean, I kind of see that killing him off. Okay, fine, because technically he. For Duros, which is the race that he is, they only live to be about 60-some years old. At this time, he's damn near 80 or 90.
Yeah, he's really old. And I believe in Clone Wars, what was it, like the final episode that didn't get fully CG'd was him and Boba Fett had a standoff, and they shot each other, and that's where the dent in Boba's helmet came from.
Yeah,
was Cad Bane. But then I think that's where Cad was supposed to die. Right? I don't remember. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. But the short version of it is that never actually officially came out, right? So that's why that story, I guess, isn't official. But
I'm not mad that they killed him off. They could have did it a bit better. It could have happened.
I'm mad. Here's why I'm mad about it. And I know people, I think Justin was saying it in chat, saying, well, you can always go back and watch more Cad Bane and Clone Wars. That's not the point here. The point here is that you bring him back in the penultimate episode to make everybody go like, ooh. But you could have taken 1 5-minute segment of showing him earlier with Boba Fett, because supposedly he trained Boba, right? Isn't that accurate?
Yeah.
So if you're just watching Boba Fett because you don't like say you started with Mandalorian, you don't know that their significance, but you know the 3 episodes of the Tusken Raider significance for the stupid plot twist at the end of the Pikes are the ones that actually killed the Tuskens, right? Like that's the big plot twist.
Yeah.
So
which by the way, I already knew the Pikes did it. There was no plot
that's what I'm saying. So it's not even it wasn't a huge revealed to us, and it
we
shouldn't have been that
established-
surprising to Boba.
Once we established they were the ones running things on Tatooine, it made sense to me that they were behind all of that. It didn't. I mean,
So
who else
I
would
think
it be?
that's why I'm saying Boba was written poorly here, because if you would have touched more on, like, you could have had one episode of like a real flashback and then an episode of where he went after he got out of the pit, and you could have already 360'd everything together to where you would have been like, this is a more significance here of what this character, these people that he's interacting with. And instead you just get left with, who's this cat? This Cad Bane guy seems pretty cool. Oh, he's dead. Okay. You don't realize that he's already had a large story told, right?
Because you just met him.
Because you just met him.
Yeah. So Paigey says, would you rather be eaten by a shark or a bear? I'm gonna say shark because it's quick. I'm not trying to be like mauled by a
Why do
bear.
I got to be eaten at all?
I know.
Why is that the choices?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, would you rather be eaten or not? And it's like, no, I don't want to be eaten. So, all right. So, also, I think it's kind of like, I know they wanted a big battle at the end. I know they wanted that, and in a lot of ways, I expected it to be that way. But the Rancor and the drones, or I think, what are they called? What are those particular models called? Omega, the droids, the battle droids.
Oh, the Droidicas. The super. I don't know what those things were.
They look like the smaller ones, but they're like 3 times as big.
Yeah, they're called.
Yeah. Those are pretty cool.
But anyway, so I knew there was
Or
going to be this
super
big
battle
battle
droid.
and whatnot, but it turned into a kaiju battle. Like,
Yeah,
it was a
just a
kaiju
big old
battle,
kaiju battle.
and it was like King Kong versus like Mecha Godzilla or something. It was
Yeah.
really like
Actually,
that's basically what it was. It was cool, but don't you think it jumped the shark a little bit with him just riding on the back of a Rancor without anything else happening building up to
because
that?
the Night Sisters of Dathomir, they rode Rancor, so it's whatever.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like he didn't. There was no build up to this. They mentioned it, the Danny Trejo storyline. I don't even remember his character's name. Just call him Danny. His storyline left on that cliffhanger, and then next thing you know, Boba Fett is back riding the Rancor. Like,
That's what I'm saying. So, like, if it's for a younger audience, they don't need that in-depth story, right? To them, that's pretty cool, for a younger audience.
it looked cool, but here's the deal.
But
On the
did
Flash,
it though?
they had a lightsaber battle on the Flash, and I was
They
like,
did.
no matter how cool it is, it didn't make sense to me. And so for this one, I don't see how we went from him meeting the Rancor to riding the Rancor and controlling it. I just,
I just don't understand why. Like, here's the thing, right? Like, those big, massive droids, whatever they were called, were tough. But it's like they literally had to almost destroy the city to kill 2 of those droids.
That's the thing. The city's also completely
and then so the Rancor is right. Like, he's done now, right? Like, he's not even Boba's pet anymore from the looks of it, right? I mean, maybe he is. He's
running free on the.
We don't know. We're assuming, right?
No, you saw what happened to the Rancor. Grogu just kind of did some force mind trick.
Yeah, he put him to sleep, but we don't know what happened afterward. You never see him again. We don't know what happened.
I don't think, is Boba going to actually feed people? That seems odd to me. It seems like he would just let it go. Like, he's going to feed people to this.
So again, right? So none of that doesn't matter to me. My thing is is that I know that Fennec went there and finished them off, but it's like they could have just brought more, right? Like, they're this huge force. They could have just brought more. It took everything they had to take down just a couple of them.
Not only that, one starship would have just.
Well, yeah, but they wanted to keep the town intact, so I understand that.
The town
but
is demolished now. Like, the town is completely destroyed.
The whole thing was just. It was just so poorly written, man. Every time a Mando episode goes off, you're waiting for the next one. The first 2 episodes of season 1 were pretty slow, and it took a while to build up, but they did come back around, but it was building towards something, right? Boba just didn't feel like it was going anywhere until Mando got involved.
Yeah.
And then when Mando went around, every person that he got involved with, you understood their story either was like, oh, well, I see Luke's training, and then, Ahsoka was there, and then like the Mando, he's no longer with them, so he doesn't have like all these questions are answered. Boba's just kept more questions that I didn't care to even get the answer to.
Oddly enough, I just looked up Danny Trejo's character name for the series, and it says Danny Trejo as Rancor trainer. They didn't even give him a name. That's okay. So the last little tease we get is that Cobb Vanth is still alive.
Yeah.
After getting,
I honestly didn't even see this until my brother pointed it to me yesterday, so I had to go back and watch it.
Right. So that's the big
but I mean, it was
teaser.
like 5 seconds. Yeah, like
so the big
but,
teaser
like,
is he's alive. So,
but here's the thing: at the end of the episode, Boba said he's not cut out for this, and that he knew somebody who obviously is the sheriff, right? So does that mean he did all this for nothing? Is he not even going to just like it doesn't matter anymore? Like that's what I mean. Like this whole like. So is he still going to keep?
Then yeah, this is
at the end. That's what he said though, because he was walking through town and everybody was giving him gifts or whatever, and he was like, "I'm not cut out for this," and he's like, "But I know someone who is." And then that's the last. And then he said the tank was being used, and then it goes to the after credits, and then you see him in the tank. So you're just going to put 2 and 2 together. He's obviously going to let him be the sheriff of the town, so to speak. But then what's he going to do?
Hopefully not season 2. Let's just hope it's not season 2. I'll be honest, out of all of the Disney Plus series, the live action series that we've watched between Star Wars and Marvel, this one felt the most completely pointless to me, except for the Mando episodes. If I ever go back to watch Book of Boba Fett, it will be episodes 5 and 6. The 2 Mando episodes. That's pretty much it. I can't ever see going back and watching. There's so many loose ends in this, and just
I just feel bad for anyone who started watching Boba Fett for the first 4 episodes, didn't see anything Mando related because they gave up on it because it wasn't super interesting to them, and they're not, people can say, "Oh, they're not hardcore Star Wars fans," but whatever. It wasn't interesting. Bite me, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't. So if they do that, then it's like Mando season 3. They're like, "Oh, I'm going to come back to that," and then you see that they're back together, and Grogu's rocking some Beskar armor. It's like, where'd that happen? How'd that happen? They have to go back and watch freaking Boba Fett.
Yeah, it'll probably do something at the beginning of the season previously on Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett.
You're probably right. Yep, that's actually exactly what will happen. Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so chat. Here's where we're going to score it numerically. We're going to give a score to the whole season, not just the finale, the whole season, including the 2 good episodes. On a scale of 1 to 10, everything included, what would you score Book of Boba Fett season 1?
5. It pains me to say a 5, but I have to be honest. It wasn't nothing for like the first half of it. Nothing happened, and then it got really interesting, and then the ending was kind of meh. I have to give it a 5.
I would say, the episodes with Mando and the finale was watchable, right? It was watchable. It had interesting moments. Just Robert Rodriguez action sequences just don't fit in Star Wars. Those episodes were like 20s out of 10. They were so freaking good, the Mando episodes. They were absolutely stellar. Yeah. But it doesn't help the overall season. So I also will say it's 5.
They do say 6 out of 10, but without the Mando episode, 4 out of 10.
Fair.
Yeah, I would give it it only gets a 5 out of 10 for me because the last 3 episodes are absolute. Well, the 2 and then the finale are absolutely amazing to watch, and the finale is watchable. But the story for the first 4 episodes, you don't even need to see those first 4 episodes. No. You don't even need to see them. All that matters is when Mando shows up at the planet.
You can actually start watching. No, you can actually start watching it at episode 5.
That's what. Yeah. And then when Fennec shows up, she just shows up and says, "Hey, Boba needs a favor," and he's like, "I don't even care what the favor is."
Because as far as
I'm there,
like, okay, so hear me out. I'm going to give it an average score. You guys know how I am. 5 means that it's just watchable, and then everything under 5 starts to get super nitpicky. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10 because it is watchable, but only because of episodes 5, 6, and part of 7. So let me say this: episode 7, with the exception of the big kaiju battle with Boba at the end when he brings out the Rancor and stuff, episodes 5, 6, and 7 technically are just Mandalorian episodes.
Yeah. I mean, that's true.
I mean, so the first half of the series, not good. The last 3 episodes are pretty good. The finale's not great, but they're still pretty good. So that's where I would rank it. All right, so we're going to move on from Book of Boba Fett. We're going to close the book. and probably never talk about the
Hopefully
show again.
never open it again.
So,
I'm
And
willing to
it's-
give him one more shot. If they want to
Oh,
put
here's the
another,
thing.
I'll give it a shot. But
Boba Fett, to me, it's not the actor's fault. It's not even really the character's fault. It's just this how
It's
this
the
story
writing.
was written and how they portrayed it, where they just didn't do anything.
yeah, my
It
problem
just
is
didn't
not
do
with the
anything.
actors at all. They did a
It
fine
could have.
job.
This
It's
whole
just-
thing could have been resolved in literally the last three
The fir-
episodes. We didn't need the first four. The first four is irrelevant. Anyway, that's it. Close the book. Move on.
I will say this series feels the most like unnecessary and completely interlude-ish. Like,
Yeah,
it's just,
I know people think that it's just filler, and that's fine. But you know, things about filler, they can be skipped.
yeah.
I do it all the time in anime.
Bleach,
Like half of
Bleach
Naruto.
has
Yeah,
half of
it's
Bleach
true.
is filler. So
Bleach is nothing but filler.
no, there's actually
So.
storylines in Bleach, but Bleach does have filler seasons.
Yeah, garbage story.
All right,
Yeah,
so we're
I
gonna
said
move
that,
on
I hate
to Peacemaker season 1, and this wrapped up, I think, just this last week. Boba Fett was 2 weeks ago. Peacemaker was this week we just came out of, and this is the John Cena. I'm not gonna do his music, his intro music, because I'll get copyright claim. I'll be honest. So coming into this series, I wasn't sure if he had the ability to carry a show, because I didn't necessarily see him as a like Rock-esque actor.
Yes.
And I don't know if it was the source material or not, but he was great on the series. I mean, even in the Suicide Squad movie, I thought he was okay. He was funny.
It was
But-
watchable.
Yeah. But this was really good. I really, really enjoyed Peacemaker. We're going to talk about some of my nitpicks of it. But I think overall, John Cena carried the show very well. And I know season 2 is going to probably be solid. What are you waiting to say, Omega?
What main character? I didn't see him at all.
All right. There we go. Wrestling joke. I wonder if that's where Drax got his from. Dave Bautista got his invisibility was from.
Just
John
standing.
So, all right. So that's my general thoughts. We're going to talk about details here in a moment. You guys, what are your general thoughts when you going into the show and then after seeing the show?
Okay, I completely dismissed this entire show. I really wasn't too interested. It's like, okay, DC show, whatever. I'm not that interested. John Cena, okay, yeah, not that interested. Until earlier today, when we were getting ready to go live, or not getting ready to go live, he sent like, okay, we're gonna start at this time and whatever. I was like, you know what? I have nothing else to do. Today's technically my Sunday. I don't go back to work till tomorrow. I got nothing to do. I guess I'll watch the first episode. Instantly hooked. And I was like, oh crap, I don't have enough time to watch all these episodes before the stream.
But you binged as much as you could.
Yes, I
That's not
binged
part
as
of
much
the-
as I could. I got to like the 5th
And you're going to
episode.
finish it when we're done with the stream,
Yes.
probably. So,
So,
what about you, Cyber?
so for me, Peacemaker in the Suicide Squad movie, I didn't care for the John Cena character. I thought that his acting was felt very forced, and the character himself didn't interest me too much. So when I heard that the series was coming on, I was like, whatever. And I think it was like 3 episodes in before it was 3 episodes in before I even started watching it. And I was watching it in my living room, and my wife, who works from home, was on break, and she had come in. I think I was in the middle of like episode 2, and she was watching it, and she's like, what is this? And I'm like, well, it's Peacemaker. And she was like, you didn't tell me you were going to watch this. And I'm like, it's just kind of like whatever. I'm not really too terribly into it. And then I watched the 3rd episode. She came back out and she was like, I want to watch that. And I'm like, okay, we'll watch it. Right.
Yeah.
So then I went back and rewatched the first 3 episodes. So I watched the whole season pretty much twice, because I watched all the episodes and I went back and watched it again with her. And I absolutely love this series. It was an absolute shocker for me. And when we get into it, I'll explain more as to why. But I think that he really did a good job with it, even though the character is supposed to be unlikable.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So he did that well. And then by the end of the series, you kind of like him. So
Yeah.
I rate it. It's good. Wait till we get further down in this conversation.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on and talk about some of the details of the show. Let's talk about the most important character on the series.
Eagly.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I was going to say. Eagly, honestly, so James Gunn has this ability to take these really weird, off the wall characters, and in this case, a character that doesn't even do anything really, and make it so interesting and so funny. Because I know there was an actual physical eagle that was eagly, but then there was a CGI version of that eagle as well.
I guess once the actors actually interacted with it, that's where the CGI came in.
Yeah. I love this weird character, Eagly. What a name. And I'm like, this is just so weird.
This is so stupid.
And honestly, we had one of the most touching moments in the whole series at the very beginning when he comes home, the eagle hugs him, and obviously I'm like, that's freaking weird. But then he tells everyone and nobody believes him. And then at the end, Addie actually sees the eagle hugging him, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so sweet. And I'm like, what am I talking about? Like, what? The show, really?
So
like, it was.
I said during Hawkeye, I hated the dog. Right? It was a plot point. Was not a fan of the dog.
I'm still disappointed in that.
Well, because it of why they used it. It was only there to like, is something going to happen? You know, it was to keep you on edge.
It was a pointless character. He didn't do anything in the series.
This, however, kept you on edge because you didn't want to see anything happen to it. But then it also had huge significant roles in terms of like the hugs and, you know, trying to use it later on to get it to do something. So in this case, I have to say I actually liked the eagle. I don't hate dogs. I have a dog. I have a Shiba Inu in the other room. I don't hate dogs. I hate when they use pets in shows for just to add either extra
Just
tension or something.
factor.
Yeah, exactly.
Paige wants to know who had better cheeks, Peacemaker or Vigilante?
Peacemaker. Hey, look,
I will. I'm not gonna.
I wish I had them cheeks. All right.
I'm not gonna objectify. So I will stay away from that.
So yeah, I loved the Eagly. Thought he was great, and apparently Omega is Eagly's fourth best friend. So there we go. Just in case you were curious,
It's a reference to what they make that joke in the show.
Let's talk a little bit about one of the most surprisingly interesting additions to the show was Danielle Brooks as Adebayo. I always get her name wrong. Addie Adebayo. Leota.
Oh, we know how you are pronouncing stuff.
Yeah, it's bad. Anyway, loved her on Orange is the New Black, and actually Omega figured out she was tasty.
I first saw, I was like, I've seen her somewhere. Where have I seen her? I was like, oh yeah, she's Tasty from Orange is the New Black. She was hilarious in that.
So she was playing Amanda Waller's daughter, and she's married, and apparently her wife didn't know about her what she was doing before, right?
Nah.
Like she didn't know that she was okay. So because she was doing this because she lost her job, and her mom's like, I'll just give you a job doing this, like really, like I think her mom thought that this was going to lead to absolutely nothing. So she put her there because she's like, I'm putting them in this really stupid little, you know, building, and they're going to be doing a lot of paperwork, and
they're just going to babysit peacemakers. Whatever,
pretty much. Great character, one of the best characters on the show, one of the best unexpected surprise characters in a superhero series who didn't have powers, wasn't really like particularly cut out for this type of job, but I absolutely loved her. I think she was really good on this. Were you surprised at some of the other, like if you had to pick a character in this cast, like other than Peacemaker, is there someone that surprised you that you didn't think was going to be really good that you ended up really loving by the end of the series?
I would say it would be Addie and probably Vigilante at a close second.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the common answer is those two. I mean, they did a really good job.
Vigilante stole the series. I mean, if you're gonna to be completely honest, I think Vigilante, even without Peacemaker, would have been a funny.
I mean, everybody did a great job. It's hard to pick a favorite.
It is. Like, I agree with that.
I'd probably have to pick Vigilante if I had to pick.
So there's been a lot of talk of Vigilante being like Deadpool, basically, for the show.
Yeah.
Visually and with the way he fights and stuff like that, and the way he jokes around. And even if he is, I don't really care.
Here's the thing: people need to stop relating a character that's a superhero or anti-hero that tells jokes or is like funny all of a sudden a Deadpool-esque character. And here's why: because Deadpool was while he was or is the way he is, he
Yeah.
breaks the fourth wall. That's what makes it Deadpool.
Yeah.
In this case, Vigilante doesn't break the
Yeah.
fourth wall. He's just acting really dumb and
he's just an
funny.
idiot.
So people can compare it to Deadpool because that's the easiest person to
Yeah,
compare
it's kind of
it
like
to.
it's just one of those characters where they act silly and goofy, and you think they're an idiot, but they're actually highly capable.
Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of what this was. There's other characters like that as well. And it's I don't get like mad if people compare it to Deadpool. Just originally,
Yeah.
I would say he was trying to act more like maybe, well, no, I mean, I guess you could say that, but he doesn't try to break the fourth wall. So it's
No. But Freddie Strombo, who played Vigilante, absolutely one of the most important cogs in the wheel of Peacemaker to make it as good as it is. Because I don't know without him there if Peacemaker could have had that chemistry with any of the other characters. I think Vigilante was definitely the best sidekick for Peacemaker in the sense.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Plus, by the way, can we talk about when he went to jail trying to basically take out Peacemaker's father? And they were looking at him like they were going to kick his ass.
Who's,
And he did
who's
stuff.
this nerd?
But let me say,
Beat
I
it.
can for a second, I was so caught up in the geeky look of this character until he took his glasses off. I was like, oh, they're going to kick his ass. I'm like, oh shit, this is Vigilante, because you see him in the suit and he looks really threatening and badass, and then he looks like a regular like computer guy or whatever without it on. And he took his glasses off, and I was like, oh shit, this is about to be really bad. And then he proceeds to kick their ass, and I'm like, Vigilante is probably one of the best hand-to-hand fighters in the entire DC live action universe. I mean,
I just wish that Vigilante would have been that good on Arrow.
Yeah. And the suit was like this suit was pretty comic accurate. It was really, really, really close.
The Arrow version of Vigilante was just so bad, just so bad. And this version was very well done.
And it's so funny because his actual name is Vigilante. Like, it's the most generic name for a anti-hero. And so for him to be like this, Punisher / Deadpool / whatever you want to call him, he was great in the series. And honestly, I would not be surprised if walking away from the series, we don't see Vigilante cosplay everywhere. I expect in Dragon Con we're going to see.
Oh, it's already all over my TikTok feed.
So I'm just expecting
the whole dance at the routine at the beginning.
Really, I gotta look those.
Yeah,
up.
it's
which
all over
by the way, let's
feed.
talk about the intro. This is one of the few shows
I have had that
I
song
watched
stuck
the
in my
intro
head for the past few hours.
every time I watch the show. I never skipped it. Do you?
No, I didn't either. I got mad when I was going back and watching it the second time with my wife, and she skipped it. I said, "What are you doing? You don't skip this song. You restart this whole thing." And we would go back and watch it. Here's the thing.
This choreography.
So I have gripes. We're going to get to them. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not a perfect show, but it's also a very good show. But one of the things that I have now done in my everyday life since this show have put most of the songs off the soundtrack of Peacemaker in my playlist. Yeah. I didn't know these bands existed. I love 80s rock, right?
Let me
Love
like maybe 4
is freaking amazing. And that's the ones that did the song Monster when they were in prison.
I want to point out that this is how James Gunn does it every time.
Yeah.
He pulls out
with the soundtracks, right?
You're like, what is this song?
And Wigwam, who did the song, apparently like 4 or 5 days before the first episode aired, got dropped by their label.
Really?
So that money's all going to them then, maybe, or
maybe they don't get a cut, and maybe it all goes to the label. I guess
that's not good.
Yeah, it just depends on who owns the rights to the song. But in general, the band wasn't well known to the point, like they weren't selling, right? Mm-hmm. But this song, like, they're not a bad band. It's just, again, PR, right? So now you get put on a hit TV series like this, and now they have free reign to go with wherever they want and make whatever they want.
Waiting to sign them.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they got dropped by who?
Yeah,
get them on the phone now.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about a bunch of stuff we like. Is there anything, and you guys can just take the ball on this if you want, is there anything about the show, one particular thing that you just didn't like, and you could have been, like, if they subtracted it out, you would have been okay with it? Anything?
I am really trying. I mean, I know I just watched it earlier today, and I really didn't have a lot of time to really mull it over or anything, but I really struggle to find anything I don't like about this series.
Okay.
Vigilante was the best answer in the intro. That's something that was asked in the chat. So
okay.
So my gripe here, right? And
Here we go.
It
Sit
is
back. Here we
listen,
go.
listen, listen. Look, listen. Okay. James Gunn, for everything he does right, there is an instance that, in my opinion, he does something
Here we
wrong.
go.
Okay.
You're back.
I have to tell you guys, in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, we're going to go to this one, right? There is a scene where Groot, baby Groot, and Rocket Raccoon are talking, and he's like, don't push this button. And, he's like, right? And then he's like, no, not the red button, blah, 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 blah. Tell me again. They go through the whole thing, and then he goes, he's going to push the button again. He's like, no, I need tape to put over the button. Quill, you got any tape to put on the button? Right? In the middle of this huge fight, okay? It took me out of the scene. It was too long. The joke was just getting beaten over the head over and over and over. I attribute this to the J.J. Abrams lens flare. That's what this is with James Gunn. He has to throw these in constantly. So when you're watching a series, in every single episode, there is a joke. Like, for instance, when Vigilante and Peacemaker show up, or when Vigilante shows up at Peacemakers and he's talking about the Louis C.K. situation. That whole joke went on for like a good solid minute. And it's like, it takes me out. It's not funny.
You're talking about the one where Vigilante was at his window?
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, you're trying to see my, blah blah blah." He's like, "No, I'm not. Why would you do that?" And it's Louis C.K. It's
a Family Guy joke. It's like a whole segment.
That joke was funny.
Yeah, so no, they are funny. Here's the thing: they're funny. They're out of place, and so they're supposed to feel like, "What was that?" It's how long they go on for that. It's just absolutely atrocious.
Would you say that the similar joke like that? I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to point this out.
No, you're good.
Is when he's talking to Diebeard, economy
yes.
or whatever, and they're talking about like who he could have done instead of his father,
and he came up with like 400 different names. It's like, yeah, it's funny. If they would have put that in a blooper reel, just watching, which they did have in after credits,
it went on even longer. So it went on even longer.
But if they would have had that up there, right, and then I would have gone back and watched it, I'm like, oh, that was probably really funny to be there. But when you're watching the show, it's like, okay, I get it. Can we move on, right? Like, just move on. And every episode has one like that. And I that for me is the only, like, one of the few things that I just cannot stand about James Gunn. Now, I'll take that one gripe, I'll take that 10 times out of 10 because everything else is just absolutely grand slam out of the park. Soundtracks, writing, so on and so forth. The only thing that is the jokes. I just think that they just don't hit right for me. They just don't. They just don't.
It's just understandable. That type of humor isn't for everyone. It's right up my alley.
It's subjective humor.
Yeah.
Like, you can't,
right.
like, it's like you either like it or you don't like it. And I understand where he's coming from. There were some scenes, like, there's some jokes that go on too long, but there's some people that like these long, overdone jokes. It just gets funnier to them over time. The longer you do it, the more you do it. I'm not one of those people. After a joke lands for me, I'm ready to move on to the next thing. But that's not the way he does it. So I understand what you're saying. I guess I wouldn't have cared if they took that out, but I didn't really care that they did it either. So
that's what I mean. Like, for me, I would take that gripe over nothing happening in Boba Fett for 4 episodes. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'll take that every time. And the thing is that the craziness, like, a lot of the stuff that was like dark humor in this show, like, was because of like Peacemaker's dad's background and stuff like that. Like, I didn't find a lot of that stuff funny, but it wasn't meant to be. It was meant to be offensive. Yeah. So, take that for whatever it is.
I do want to also point out that one thing I love about James Gunn, and I guess we don't notice it as much in the Marvel movies because he directed characters that are in space, so it doesn't really matter. But on Peacemaker and Suicide Squad, the movie and the series, he doesn't care that the costumes look ridiculous. Like, they're just comic book accurate costumes. Like, he doesn't care.
They're comic books. Of course, they're not going to look super badass and cool. They look like comic characters.
Well, right. Like for example, when he walks into the restaurant to eat with the rest of the team and he's just wearing his full costume with the helmet and everything. And it's like,
it looks like because you all went to Dragon Con and I went to my first one in 2 years ago. It's kind of like, when we first went into that one Hard Rock Cafe, it was like everyone was in costumes. So I was kind of like, oh, so we just cosplaying, whatever.
Yeah. Everywhere.
Let's be a convention in town.
But I love that he doesn't shy away because so often we get, and I will reference this as being the beginning of this problem, was the original X-Men movies where everything had to be like
super
black,
badass. What would you expect?
leather,
Yellow spandex? Yes,
street-
motherfucker. I was
street
expecting
level
yellow
stuff.
spandex.
Like, yeah, the more we've gotten away from that in shows, the less I like when they go back to that.
Mhm.
I prefer, like, I've always said this. I hate like a year 1, year 2 costume. I want a superhero that has a super stylized costume. The
Mhm.
only exception to that rule for me, the only one, is Daredevil's first black suit, because I think that's honestly.
Oh yeah, I like that better than his red suit.
That's the only exception to that rule, because it looks like a ninja outfit, and I'm good with that. So, but other than that, I usually hate early costume designs typically. So I love that on Peacemaker they don't shy away from that. Like Judo Master suit was just totally comic book.
Mhm.
Which, by the way, it was so great that they had this character that's a very small frame, and he's just kicking everybody's
Beating
ass.
everybody's ass.
His battle with Harcourt was great.
Oh, that was dope.
That was such a good fight.
Now, even with Peacemaker's outfit, this huge silver helmet, how he looks ridiculous, and I'm glad they did not change that from the comics at all. Well, there was probably some changes here and there.
I
but still,
actually,
it
well,
looks
just
like
like with
it changed
Suicide
straight
Squad, I
up.
think they
Yeah.
did that to make it look ridiculous. Like I think
Yeah.
that's the look they wanted to be silly. So
Well, I think it's interesting, and I actually really like how this was written. I'm pretty sure Peacemaker wore the helmet because he thought, didn't he? I didn't read the Peacemaker comic, but from what I saw online, is that he actually thought his dad was in the helmet, right? And now the ghost of his dad haunts him around the helmet.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't think about
So
that.
yeah.
Okay, so Cal goes, Eric, thoughts on Peacemaker reference? Well,
Yeah.
first of all, thank you for the super chat. Peacemaker referenced Batmite.
A
Like
lot,
they
yeah.
referenced all kinds of like.
Well, no, I don't have a
random
quarter to
characters,
do this because I put him 6 feet fucking under.
So I don't have a problem with any. So you have to remember, like they explain it in the show. A lot of people were upset the way Peacemaker was talking about characters, but I don't remember which member of the team said it, but they're like, why is it with you every single superhero is a weirdo? Like all of them are really, 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 every story is ridiculous. He's always like, yeah, I know Superman. We went to the restaurant together and this idiot went in the bathroom and destroyed the freaking toilet and then peed all over everybody. And then his cape got crap all over it. And then he came out and said it was my fault. Like those are his stories and they don't make any sense. So everything he says about another superhero is literally just him talking shit, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And he made a point of saying that he's someone who believes everything he reads on the internet.
Yes.
Yeah. What?
So
that's why it's so
Facebook
ridiculous.
lies to me. Yes.
So he's
Lying.
in on the joke. He's in on all these. He like it's a character that is aware that he doesn't know any. Like basically, it's like, okay, so Peacemaker for me so badly wants to be what the Justice League is, what these superheroes are, that he acts like he knows everybody. Everybody has that friend that knows someone or knows something. I can think of one of our friends, and I know Cyber, you'll know who I'm talking about. He happens to be a friend of Archon's, who knows all these celebrities and goes to their houses and hangs out with them and does all these things with them, but he really doesn't. I mean, he does do work for these people, but he doesn't know them like that. But
he's not friends with them. He just happens to work. Like it's like he's like hired through a company, and to work for this person, but not actually for this person. So
basically, he's got all these stories about these things, and it's like you have to take them for what they are, right? So I feel like Peacemaker just wants to be one of the gang. He's a superhero that wants so badly to be a superhero, but he's doing it all wrong. So I think all of his referencing other characters is basically just him trying to seem like he's in the cool kids club.
And if you look at how he talks to like everyday normal people, I wouldn't expect him to say anything different about a superhero.
Yeah, it's kind of like the storyline for the latest Yakuza game, Like a Dragon, where your main character goes to jail for like 18 years and he comes out and he's like, what happened? What's going on? What type of cell phone is that? Because when he was in, they had flip phones. Now he has stuff like this. And he's just like, what?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like similar. He's just coming out of being in jail for so long, and he
didn't even know what online dating was.
Yeah, he just has no tact
or
no idea of like how modern society works anymore.
So anyway, we got a $10 super chat from Crazy Cat Lady, also a Team Eric member. Thank you so much. And she says, I bet Omega likes the Doctor Strange trailer.
Oh, yes.
And Boba Fett was not good until the last 3 episodes. But the sad
Yeah.
thing is those were the Mandalorian episodes, really not his. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but definitely go back and watch this on playback because the first 30 minutes we talk about Boba Fett, aka Mandalorian 2.5, which is kind of like how the Defenders was Daredevil 2.5.
Yeah, it was just Daredevil 2.5.
But anyway, as far as the Doctor Strange trailer, you haven't really had a chance to talk about that. So let's take a moment while the super chat is on the screen and give your thoughts on the Doctor Strange trailer.
I thought it was freaking amazing. I'm ready for this. When they showed Gargantos, I see what they're doing. I think they're going to basically give him all of Shumagorath's power because they can't use the name Shumagorath because that's owned by the people who do Conan. And I mean, Conan has did some Marvel crossovers, but they're not owned by Marvel. It's not a Marvel property, so that's he's Shumagorath and all but name. But still, I am totally down for this movie. And that the one thing where Wanda was all like, "Oh, you go out and save the world, and you're a hero. I try to do the same, and I'm a villain." I'm like, "Bitch, you completely mind enslaved an entire town of people. Yes, you're the villain. I'm sorry." But anyway, yeah, I'm totally excited for this movie.
Yeah, but she's saying that to him after he admits to her that he has done a spell that erased people's.
Oh yeah, right. Oh, okay, yeah.
So basically, he's done the same thing except on a larger scale.
Actually, yeah. I mean, it was just as invasive because you're getting.
She's like, how is that fair? And I'm like, yeah, she's got a point. How is that fair?
Okay, with that context, yeah, I take that back. Yeah, now I see what she's talking about.
So. Did you want to give any thoughts on the multiverse trailer, Cyber? Anything you want to say about it, or?
Oh yeah, the weird Ultron guards that were walking through some. I just got to see the movie because I don't know. I'm just gonna be speculating all day long. None of it's probably true, but go ahead.
No.
Okay, so jumping back over to thank you for the super chat, by the way. Jumping back over to Peacemaker, we have to deal with this alien invasion of the butterflies, which are these this race of aliens that look like little anamorphic butterflies, is the best way to put it.
Kind of like grasshoppers / moths /
and they have little spaceships that I thought were awesome. They fly these little like traditional UFO shaped spaceships, which I thought was hilarious. And they have this really gross food source, which is this giant caterpillar thing that they
have this proboscis that comes out and just starts sucking at that goo. I was like, oh god, that's nasty.
That was okay. So let me just say this: that particular storyline is the most James Gunn storyline that has ever been done in a superhero franchise, because of the backstory of where James Gunn started with his whole career in making films. But what did you think of this storyline? Did you think this was a strong storyline, or do you think it was just okay for the show?
I thought it was fun. I mean, it's kind of. It's not like, oh my god, this is so compelling. It's kind of like your standard alien invasion storyline. We've seen this before, and like stuff like Mars Attacks and insert 50 sci-fi storyline here or whatever. Yeah. But it fits this. It's campy, which fits the style of the story, so it's fine. The campiness plays into the comedy.
By the way, this is going to be the 5-minute warning. I'm going to take down the banner for super chats so we can wrap up our thoughts on this. But thanks everybody for the super chats. Go ahead, Cyber. Thoughts on the storyline with the butterflies and the cow and all of that.
Yeah, it was just a generic storyline. They're not from the comics, to my knowledge.
Yes, it did. Mrs. Slither.
I thought it would have been interesting if more significant people, like recognizable people, let me say that, ended up being a butterfly. But maybe that'll be something down the road. But I think it was just a villain of the season. Peacemaker's not gonna fight. He doesn't have a rogues gallery of villains.
He's not going to fight Lex Luthor or someone.
Yeah, he's not going to go up against freaking Darkseid.
Yeah. So I'm 100% fine with this, and then save a big villain if need be for season 2 or 3. It was fine. Right. I was the point of these missions is to fight stuff that Justice League and stuff they don't know about.
That's beneath them, or they don't know about or care.
Right. I would say that to me, Peacemaker, this little group is just an extension of the Suicide Squad. Yeah. That's what they are, basically. They're not held to the same you get your head blown off standard, but they basically take care of the things that the Justice League doesn't take care of. And by the end of the episode, or by the end of the season, they've all come together as friends. They've worked together. They all sort of get along with each other. And now Harcourt is going to be the leader of the team moving forward, which I think is fine. I really enjoyed her character, so I don't have an issue with that. So the one big thing at the end of the last episode, which I want to talk about, which is kind of spoilery, Omega, and I don't know if you've already seen this or not, and a lot of people seem to be upset about it, is that we see the Justice League show up, or part of the Justice League show up at the end of the episode. We get Superman, the Flash, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman. A few of them are missing, but we get those four characters show up. Only two of them actually talk, and I'm pretty sure it's because those scenes were filmed in separate places and then put together.
Yeah, they weren't even there. I'm sure they were just superimposed.
But we get this little cameo at the end, and I want to say this, and I very rarely give shows passes on stuff like this because of the fact that I think it is one connected world and whatnot. Do not take that too seriously, because the Justice League does not care about anything to do with Peacemaker and his team.
Well, you just got to remember what happened with...
Show up, talk shit, maybe do some one cool thing here and there, then leave.
No, yeah. I don't even think that's... I think that it'll always be a situation where they're too late, or they show up and it's something weird. Because in the first Suicide Squad movie, take that for whatever it's worth, Batman showed up and said, I would shut her down if she didn't shut down Task Force X, and obviously that didn't matter. So... yeah, I think it's just to show that they're in the same universe, but I don't think they're actually.
And there was also drama about the fact that two members of the Justice League didn't show up, which were Cyborg and Batman. Now, the Batman stunt actor did film in the suit, but for some reason, DC decided they did not want to include Batman, and I think it has something to do with Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton swapping places in the Flash movie. The other character that was included was Cyborg, and let me explain why that is. I want to make this very clear. They have, anytime you use the likeness of someone in a property, you have to have a contractual agreement with you. You have to pay them for it. And Ray Fisher has made it very clear that he wants nothing to do with Warner Brothers. He doesn't want to have anything to do with their,
which is after the way they treated them. I understand.
So yeah, I mean, regardless of the reason for it, the thing is that they would have to work out a contract with them to pay him for that particular stuff. That wasn't going to happen. So in order to include the quote unquote Justice League in the end, they had to pick the characters that actually
that they can use.
Right. Because Ben Affleck is not with, he doesn't have a contract with them after The Flash. And Ray Fisher obviously doesn't want anything to do with them. Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot still works with Warner Brothers. Jason Momoa, Aquaman has a movie coming out. Ezra Miller, Flash movie coming out. And Henry Cavill is still on good terms with them. They were probably able to pay him for his likeness. So the other two were not included, probably because of contractual reasons. So there's no real big conspiracy.
Yeah, I'd be real surprised if Cyborg did show. I was like, wait, they actually reconcile with them? What?
Yeah. So I did see a Team Eric member chat from Lone Wolf. We'll address that in 1 second. Anything else about the Justice League stuff we want to talk about, or
no? I think it was just cool that they were there. I just thought it was cool they were there.
That scene was the equivalent of an Easter egg.
Yep,
that's what it was.
It was cool
because they were like, oh, they're cursing and this, that, and the other. It's like, it's Peacemaker.
Yeah, this is technically like the Deadpool of for DC.
We're not going to see Aquaman dropping F-bombs in his movie. It's just not going to happen. So don't worry about it. Don't.
Although I'm kind of hoping Henry Cavill kind of drops into Geralt and just goes, fuck.
So one last comment, and then we're going to head out here. It's from Lone Wolf. He's been a Team Eric member for 18 months. Thank you so much, Lone Wolf. Sorry I missed it because it showed up on my other screen. What are your thoughts on Harcourt as a character? I actually loved her.
Yeah, she was dope.
I think she was great. She's the epitome of a very empowered female character without being too pandering, with also not feeling like it was fake. It felt very good to me. And so I quite enjoyed her. I thought she was really good in that role. And people, again, with the comparison, they're like, oh, she's like Black Widow. And I'm like, I mean, I guess, but she's her own character. Like, not every strong female military character.
I can see the comparison. Yeah, I can see the comparison, but not really.
Yeah. So any thoughts on Harcourt before we wrap it up? Cyber, anything?
Oh, I think everybody in the show was great. Like, I don't need to like single anybody out as like, you know, a bad egg in the film or like a stellar diamond. They all complemented each other real well. And I think that ultimately, because of that, and because of James Gunn's stellar writing, that this show is a success. And I am actually super excited for season 2. And I originally didn't think I would even care about this character. I
really
here's
hope
the
we
thing,
get
I don't like John Cena.
Yeah, I did not
I don't
start
like
watching
John
the series
Cena.
until today.
I've watched wrestling since WrestleMania 1. Okay. I don't like John Cena. I didn't like him in the wrestling world. I don't think he's a fantastic actor, but I think this role fits him perfect. And he's doing a good job breaking out into using this as his breakout role. He's been in other films, but not like this.
Yeah,
I don't think Cyber likes the Snyder Cut very much.
Yeah, he knows.
I was about to say, yeah,
Paige knows. Paige
while I
knows.
do like the Snyder Cut, yeah, those people are weird.
I'm excited for another Suicide Squad movie with James Gunn.
Yes.
Honestly, I am.
Even
mean,
though I
think
did
it's
like
really
the
good.
first Suicide Squad movie.
I like the
even though it
first
was
one, but the
terrible.
second one is so much better than the first one.
Yeah, yeah, this one is just leaps and bounds better. The only reason I like the first one because it was bad, but it was enjoyably bad.
So, all right. So I guess it's time to give a score. So in the chat, everybody give us your score of the Peacemaker series as a whole, the whole thing. What did you think about it? What is your numeric score 1 to 10? I'm going to go ahead and drop my score first. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It's almost a perfect series for me. I think it did everything it was supposed to do. The humor didn't always land for me. So that's why I'm taking 1 point off. But other than that, I really enjoyed it. I think 9 out of 10 for me.
I'm gonna give it a straight up 10 because
it
has crass humor. I love crass humor.
Okay.
It was fun. It was fun. It had great special effects, and also shout out to the sound team for this because I mean, not even just for the soundtrack, just the sound.
The soundtrack
effects.
is 10 out of 10. Soundtrack is 10 out of 10.
I mean, just the sound effects is something that people really don't pay much attention to. Like every punch and thud or just impact, you hear that shit, and it's like I just had even on these headphones, I was like, wow, they did a really good job on the sound design on this. I mean, to the point that
I'm seeing some 9s and some 10s. Like Latricia's giving it 10 out of 10. Victor 10 out of 10. Lone Wolf 10 out of 10. What about you, Cyber?
Oh,
here we go.
I had my gripes.
I can already see. Here we go.
Here we go.
I had my gripes. I think that what I disliked about the show was completely what's good about the show completely overshadows it. I think that it is an absolutely phenomenal series. If you can get with the dark humor and you can get with the goriness of it, if you're okay with that, I think watching Peacemaker is a must, and I think it's the best thing that's happened to DC since Arrow season 1 and 2. I think that it is. It's not for kids. It is absolutely amazing, and I would give it a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
Anthony Beltray giving it a 4 out of 10. That is absolutely cap. I have to say that's cap.
I guess I'm edgy out of 10. Yeah, that's fair.
It is not Sprite. It's the traditional old school, just straight up Sprite. It's the only soda I drink anymore. Paige says 9 out of 10.
It's musty.
Yeah, loses 1 point due to being character heavy over story, and I prefer story more.
Yeah, that's fair.
Lone Wolf says, "Do you really want to taste it?"
Again, it's very few shows that
you do not skip. It's like Cowboy Bebop. You do not skip that intro.
Well, for as much as it's not the mood of the show, it puts you in the mood for the show.
I thought he was going to be like some kids mascot or something. He's doing like some kid show like Bible Man or something.
It was Cap. Cyber called it out.
I told you it's Cap. I knew it was Cap.
That's why I never gave it. That's why I never gave it a chance. I was like, yeah, what is this? Like some
there's very few shows that you can watch and see like huge jumps in people's opinion, right? When something is super over the top good, people are going to hate on it just to hate on it. And when something's super over the top bad, people are going to love it just to be different. This is not the same thing. This is one of those shows where if you can get this is one of these shows you should get HBO Max for. Like that's how good
this is a subscription show. Like this is we talked
really
about before the stream. I said Horizon Zero Dawn was a reason that I got my PlayStation 4.
That's a console seller.
This is a subscription seller.
This is a subscription seller. Get HBO Max. Watch Peacemaker. You won't be disappointed.
Also watch Dune. Great movie.
I mean you
got HBO Max for this. Yeah, it's there.
I mean, you can watch it.
I would actually give them the right to do a chalk. I wouldn't charge them anything for doing it if they wanted to do it. So. All right,
Warner Brothers money.
Last thing that we're going to wrap this up. I do believe that the success of Peacemaker is going to make people go and watch the Suicide Squad movie.
Oh yeah, Yeah,
I think they will too.
Movie too.
Yeah, I think they will too. Here's the thing: I'm actually going to go back and rewatch I'm going to do it tonight. I'm going to go back and rewatch the Suicide Squad movie just because I want to see, in my memory, if he acted that close to how he does in the show, or if I'm just remembering it different.
Right.
I'm gonna go back and watch it just for that.
Because that movie didn't do as well as I think it should have because of all the drama behind it being on HBO Max and everything. Yeah. But I absolutely think that the series doing so well means that movie is probably going to get some people going back and watching it.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to help the movie out a lot. So that's good. All right, that's pretty much it. We are out of here. We're going to figure out a schedule now because we will not be doing regularly Weekly Geeklies until Moon Knight comes out, which is at the end of March. So like we did between shows last time, we'll probably stream a couple times between now and then, and we'll do something special.
Yeah, because we got to talk about the Batman.
Yeah, we're going to talk about, it might be good. Maybe we'll do like a trailer stream where we just talk about all the trailers for the movies that are coming out. And the Batman comes out on my birthday.
I got this new graphic, right? So we got to rock the graphic.
Yeah. The Batman comes out on my birthday. So we will be doing that. We should probably do a whole stream on the Batman, I think, to see what people think of it. Because there's a lot riding on that movie. Because we know how much people love the Christopher Nolan Batman films.
It's gonna be trash. Oh, no. It's gonna be trash. It's 3 hours of please. I'm so glad I'm at the Cinema Cafe. Bring me more pizza because that's the only reason why I'm still here. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad.
Latricia with a last second super chat here. 199 super chat. Thank you, Latricia. Did you see Uncharted? I have not seen it, but I want to see it.
I will be seeing it soon. I've heard some really bad things about it, but we're gonna go see it. I played all the games, so
I'm gonna skip it. I was never that interested in the games. I'm not interested in the movie. I'm good. If it's on one of the streaming service, I might. If I'm bored, I might watch it. But
wait, what's today's date?
The 21st.
Chat this week. I'm pretty sure it's this week. Somebody look it up. If you have not seen this, I think it's going to be on Disney Plus. Go see this when it comes out this week. It's Free Guy, the Ryan Reynolds film.
Yeah, it does.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Yeah, you've been talking about that before.
Yeah, a really good movie. So I believe it's this week. I think it's the 23rd. I think it's the 23rd.
I don't mind talking about Uncharted because it's a video game movie. I don't mind talking about it when we do our Batman. If we're going to go see it, we can talk about that a little bit before we do our Batman stream.
If y'all want to talk about it, I might give it a watch.
Yeah, we'll see. Pagey, does Cyber want proper comic book Batman and not edgy, dark, emo Batman?
I think at this point, it's almost impossible to get a Batman that's worthy of being on cinema.
Latricia with the one eye super check is it's interesting. Okay.
I do think that Batman right now is very hard to sell. Like it's gonna sell, it's gonna be massive success. That's fine. But what I mean is like in terms of it being an actual interesting character, it's going to be hard. You're going to get people to say,
"This is a great." If this Batman movie does not break $1 billion, it's going to be considered a failure.
And I would agree with that because it's freaking
the Christopher
Batman.
The Christopher Nolan movies did so well.
Oh yeah. You had that to compete with.
So, and I just think that it's hard. I mean, I think on screen, Batman doesn't work.
Do you think Batman will be better in like a TV series, like a street level vibe to it?
Street level TV series. Literally, take season 1 and 2 of Arrow and replace it with Batman
or
and
Daredevil.
It's the same,
or all of Daredevil,
and it's phenomenal, right? Like that's Batman, right? When you start putting him in movies, look at the Justice League movie and Batman versus Superman. He can't. The character doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. That's my opinion.
So we're going to leave it on that. Thanks everybody for coming in. We'll catch up everybody next week. Stay tuned to our Twitters and to see what we're going to be doing. And we will talk to everybody.